So you've figured out that your current life is the root of a villain that has nothing but bad endings. How do you switch that? And even worse, what if you're too dense to realize that you already have? Hello everybody and welcome to another light novel review. I'm Justus R. Stone, and on this channel I cover all things light novels, reviews like this as well as news, countdowns of the most popular titles in Japan, and the Light Novel Podcast is posted here as well. So if you love light novels or maybe you're just starting to get interested in them, you should consider subscribing. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing volume number 1 of Satoru Yamaguchi's light novel series, My Next Life as a Villainess. All routes lead to doom. This one is released in English officially by J-Novel Club. In Japan, there are currently 7 volumes available. It is still an ongoing series. If you want to pick up your own copy of this book, I do have a link in the description down below. Now, My Next Life as a Villainess, and we'll nickname it Bakarina, and well, that is the nickname for it because the main character's name is Katarina and she's a baka. In any case, Bakarina tells the story of a young girl. She is 8 when the book begins, and during a visit to the palace, she trips and smacks her head and then has several days of a severe fever. And when she wakes, she realizes that she is actually the reincarnation of a 17-year-old modern-day Japanese girl who was a fan of anime, manga, and gaming. But even more disturbingly, she realizes that this world that she's been reborn into, it's not just any old medieval type Europe kind of world. It is actually the identical setting of the Otome game that she was playing all night long, causing her to try and rush to get to school, which caused her to die in a traffic accident. And not only is it the world of the Otome game, but the girl that she is in that world happens to be the antagonist, the villainess of the story. And of the 4 possible people that can be romanced by the protagonist in the Otome game, 2 of those routes lead to either her being expelled from the kingdom with nothing or being killed. And the other 2 routes she virtually doesn't exist in at all. And so she starts to try and formulate a way that she can change her fate to escape all of these routes that seem to lead to doom. Now, this book is told in the first-person point of view, but it's told mainly from Katarina's point of view, but there are other characters as well, and that is because of how this book is formatted. So this Otome game that she awakens in, it's called Fortune Lover was the game. And in that game, there were 4 romanceable male characters that the protagonist tried to sort of get set up with. And so when Katarina awakes, she realizes, of course, oh my gosh, I am the villainess in this game. No matter what happens, there's no happy ending for me in the game. So I need to try and figure out a way that even if a bad route ends, like I end up in a bad route, I can survive it, or I can just kind of change it altogether so that never happens. And so she sits down and writes off this huge, manifesto basically of everything she can remember about the game. Now, the first person that is predominantly her is that each chapter in this volume, and this volume basically covers Katarina from the age of 8 up until the age of 15. And at the age of 15, she's about to go off to school. And that is where actually the game of Fortune Lover took place, was when she was in school. So this book kind of covers her trying to lay the groundwork to try and survive the actual game events, which I'm guessing are going to happen in volume 2. So each chapter basically covers her meeting one of the love interests from the Fortune Lover game. And the majority of the chapter is in her first person perspective. And then at the end of the chapter, the second part of the chapter is those same events being told from that love interest's point of view. And it's not always love interests, although almost all, even the two girls that she becomes very close with are connected to potential love interests. So in a way that it all kind of is the same. In any case, so with Katarina, the one thing that you are going to hear many, many times is that she is a dense character. She is clueless. And there are many reasons for this. And really, like, you can have dense characters in light novels, and they can kind of go one of two ways. Either they are that annoying kind of dense, where you're like, everything is so ridiculously obvious, and there's absolutely no reason for you to think the way you do. It's just, it is annoying, you know? You're like, particularly we see this kind of character in a harem, most usually a male who is surrounded by a female harem, and the girls all but literally throw themselves at him, and the whole time he's just like, oh, she doesn't really like me like that. Meanwhile, she's like half naked going, please, and he's like, yeah, I don't know why she's doing that. I can't understand. Or you have this other character where the character is actually kind of adorable. You know, the sort of density and cluelessness of her behavior is actually a part of her personality, and it works because she's not just a complete idiot, but because of how she perceives herself and perceives the world, she just can't see things for what they really are. And Katarina definitely fits into this second category. Despite it being obvious that almost every single character that she comes into contact falls in love with her, she is utterly clueless about the whole thing because she is so preoccupied with the fact that she is the villain in this game and that she has a villainous looking face and she has to avoid all the bad endings, and she is so preoccupied with the negativity of herself and her situation that she doesn't realize that she has pretty much completely obliterated any chance of the game happening the way that she remembers it. And it's fun because this extends to all characters. This isn't even just to the 4 male love interests. This is even to her female friends. She understands their friends. She understands that they have a nice relationship. But she doesn't quite understand just how deeply her friends care for her. In fact, her best friend, Mary, is kind of actually a rival for the other guys in terms of the whole love interest thing. But I think what really makes Katarina work, and the reason that this dense, clueless character isn't annoying, is for the exact same reason that everybody pretty much falls in love with her. And that is because she is this incredibly open, good-natured, tomboyish kind of girl. She doesn't stand on social norms. She just kind of crashes through the world doing her best and just trying to be nice to people. And, you know, she really is sweet. And it's funny because what really makes it work as well is because we get those alternate points of view, because we see her through the eyes of other characters, we start to realize that those quirks of hers, the cluelessness, the being dense and everything else, that it is in many ways what endears these characters to her, because she doesn't try to play games. She doesn't get hung up on, oh my God, the prince is falling in love with me, what do I do? Because she just doesn't see it. And because she doesn't see it, she maintains this like level of normalcy with their relationships that a lot of these characters really want, and a lot of these characters actually desperately need. In a lot of ways, it's funny to see how, in trying to avoid her own doom, she actually ends up doing a lot to help heal and nurture the other characters. And of course, there's all just the other sort of funny little quirks like, well, you know, Katarina, as I said, she's a tomboy. One of her greatest accomplishment since being able to climb just about any tree. We have her formulating ridiculous plots that make sense to her in her mind, such as, well, in the game, this guy attacked Katarina and killed her in the one bad end. Well, I've discovered that he is afraid of something, and so I'm always going to keep that on me so that if he comes at me, I can scare him, and that'll give me the time I need to run away. Or, you know, being a lady and being out and being served all these delicious treats and teas and everything else, I always end up in such a problem and I have to go running, searching for a bathroom. I should just kind of bring like a porta potty with me to these things because it's so hard to find the bathrooms and they're always so far away. And it's just this ridiculous train of thought in her head. And there are several times in the book where, because she can't talk to anybody else about her situation, obviously, she just talks to herself. So she has ongoing one-on-one, like has conversations with herself. It actually kind of reminded me of So I'm a Spider, So What? In more recent, the second volume of that book, the main Spider Girl, she is able to actually split her consciousness into different pieces, and so she does have conversations as if they are all separate identities. Katarina just kind of does that on her own, which I think probably speaks maybe a little bit of her character. All in all, what really sells this book is Katarina as a character. As I said, she is adorable and sweet, and even her sort of clueless and denseness and this tomboyish, take the world by storm kind of attitude is very endearing, even to a reader, let alone the characters that are in the book. And the characters in the book, of course, they very much fit those Otome game kind of molds. You know, you have the third prince who has the most beautiful smile and is like a prodigy at darn near everything, but he's kind of a twisted individual inside. We have the fourth prince who has gone through life hating the fact that he's constantly compared to his older brother, and so he is just bitter and angry at the world. We have the Chancellor's son, who has spent most of his life protecting his little sister, who is an albino, basically, is what they describe her as. She's got white hair and red eyes. But, of course, in this world, that is seen as being very odd, and so she is mistreated and made fun of. And so he has spent a lot of his life trying to protect her and stand up for her. And he feels so lonely that only he can see how wonderful she is. And then, of course, we have Katarina's adopted brother who, well, he starts off, Katarina's adopted brother, when he actually gets there, I think that was probably one of my favorite stories because I don't want to spoil it, but man, Katarina goes to some rather wild and crazy lengths to try and make sure that she doesn't have a ruined relationship with her adopted brother. Because in the game Fortune Lover, that was the whole thing, was that her adopted brother really was kind of an angry individual and had become a playboy and everything because he had been treated so coldly by Katarina and her mother. And so Katarina decides, well, all I have to do is love him, which I want to do anyway because he's adorable. And so, and it's really cute. And because it covers basically a 7-year span, that would probably be my only complaint, is that there are quite a few sudden jumps in time. In fact, probably between sort of the last 2 chapters is the biggest. I think it's like a, 5-6 year jump. That's probably my only complaint. I almost would have liked to have seen this series dragged out a little bit more. It's kind of like, it actually reminded me very much of the Confessions of an Otome Gamer, which is from Cross Infinite World. And I really enjoyed that one, but it was like Volume 1 was 3 times the length of this one, and I think, if I recall, covered pretty much the same amount of time. And I kind of would have liked to see this dragged out just a little bit more. But in any case, because you see those jumps, you do get to sort of see how all of these characters have been changed because of their interactions with Katarina, which is a lot of fun. The only thing that I think I kind of am hesitant about with this is that they're going to school in the next volume, or at least, well, they must, because they're all at the age where they would go to the academy. And that is where the Fortune Lover actual game took place. I don't know how long that storyline is going to be dragged out. And as much as I find Katarina adorable, as much as I loved sort of seeing how her own sort of selfish desires to try and not die actually ended up helping people and creating these very sort of sweet situations. As much as I think that worked great in this volume, I don't know how long you can drag that out without making it just feel like, here we go again, or it's just more of the same, or, you know, that it could get kind of boring. That would be my fear with this book, and I really don't want it to be like that because I really had a lot of fun with this first volume. And I liked the characters in this book. Like I said, I mean, even the love interests I found that I liked. They, especially after their interactions with Katarina, because they became much more palatable type of characters. So all in all, this first volume, it absolutely is funny. It is absolutely cute and adorable and a really nice, entertaining read. As I said, my only worry is that as it goes on, I don't know how they're going to keep this up without it just feeling kind of stale. So we'll see how that goes, but all in all, definitely a really good start to a series, and I definitely want to continue and sort of see how things go from here. So keeping with the kind of light and fluffy and funny kind of theme, my next review is going to be on volume number 1. Well, I guess it's actually not really volume 1. This seems to be like a standalone one-shot type book, and that is The Hero and His Elf Bride Open a Pizza Parlor in Another World. That'll be my next review. So if you love light novels, or you're just starting to get interested in them and you're brand new to the channel, you should subscribe. I do these reviews every single week, as well as weekly countdowns of the most popular titles in Japan, news, the light novel podcast. It's all here. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.